it's not just about designing good tokenomics, it's actually designing a good gameplay experience. That's, you need graphics, you need storytelling, you need interactivity, you need community society, you need to level up, and balancing all of that within a game for companies, for MMO or game development companies, has been our bread and butter. I mean, we needed to do that 20 years ago and 10 years ago before blockchain started coming out.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode at the GameON podcast, where we discuss everything about gaming from the Middle East with all the global experts that are part of the program. Today, we have two amazing experts in the gaming scene and the blockchain scene from company Wemade, a global Korean company, a publicly listed company that is leading the trend in the metaverse and blockchain fields such as NFT, DeFi, with an emphasis into its applications in the gaming scene. They're obviously well known as the owner and the developer of the Legend of Mir IP, which is a highly successful game with over 500 million users across its platform. Its platform, Wemix, is evolving into a global blockchain phenomenon that can transform games of every genre into blockchain games. I'll tell you a little bit about Wemade, but we'll leave our experts to tell us a little bit more down the line. Wemade today, or Wemix today, is a leading blockchain ecosystem developer, providing services including clever DeFi protocol, cryptocurrency wallets, token decentralization exchange, NFT item marketplace, Wemix stacking, and game gateway. Wemix is literally building an experience-based platform driven and service-oriented mega ecosystem aimed at providing blockchain-based games and DApps with the infrastructure to run without bounds. Without further ado, I would love to quickly give you intros on our experts today. We have Juan, who's the Executive Vice President, Corporate Development at Wemade, and Jason, who is the Director at Wemix MENA, Middle East version. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today.
It's great to be here. We appreciate it. It's a great show, and hopefully we can talk a little more about what we want to do in the Middle East.
Absolutely. Sally, kind of take us through, some of the very, I would say, hot questions that we have out for our own panelists today.
Definitely. Super glad to have you with us, Sue and Jason. So one of the things that obviously we've seen over the past few years is the rise of play to earn gaming, right? We've seen numbers almost double in terms of gamers that are out there. In 2021, the value of the digital assets that we've seen being earned by players in that space has been more than $3 billion. And we see this as well with Shift Build, with the increased numbers of Web3 gaming companies that are kind of we've been working with and supporting through our Shift Build program. And wanted to kind of understand perhaps a little bit more about the play to earn space in Korea, right? Kind of what are some of the factors that we see are helping the adoption in that space and in that genre?
Okay, I'll take this one. Yeah, so I mean, play to earn. I mean, it's sort of happened a couple of years ago. Axie Infinity was a big game that people know about. But in reality, I think a different version of play to earn or play and earn has been around since MMORPGs were online. I remember playing MMORPGs, World of Warcraft, and I used to play about 2 hours a day, maybe about 15 hours a week total on the weekends. And I wanted to level up quicker, so I go to an offline third-party site and I buy some gold through that, and I give the transaction site my money in cash, $100, for example, and then I meet my guy within the game, and he'd give me the equivalent that amount in gold within the game, and so I feel like play and earn the naming is new, but the experience has been around for a little while, and I think with the recent blockchain technology coming along, and companies like us trying to facilitate the transactions between users, I think this will become a bigger part of the economy and the gaming economy. So, 20, 30 years down the road, all games will have a form of blockchain, that technology in the game. And then at that time, we wouldn't even be saying play and earn or play and earn, because that would be like a given de facto of how all games should be, at least most games should be. Going back to your question of how play and earn happened in Korea, by law, I think we still have issues within Korea where we don't facilitate play and earn as much, and there's some legal barriers that we are going through right now. But regardless of that, Korean companies have started out long before with MMORPGs, as I said, and we've developed games. And our game industry began in early 2000. And we've had companies like Nexon, NCSoft, Netmarble, NHN, and Wemade. These companies started happening around that time. And once we started developing PC online games, that's morphed over onto mobile games. And I think the blockchain technology and P2E, because of our rich experience developing online games for over 20 years, that's given us a solid base where we can delve into this new section of gaming, a new chapter of gaming. And so I think a lot of Korean companies have an edge over non-traditional or other countries where gaming was not a big development factor for that company.
So there's something there that you said, Sue, that is I think a realization to a lot of the Web3 games that didn't make it per se, and that is, you said, we've been a game developer for the past 20 years. And I think this is, if there is anything, this the difference between some of the Web3 games or the blockchain games that we see today versus the ones that have actually make it. And the difference is striking, that if you come from the gaming scene, you understand the gamer's psychology, understand how to build games that are balanced, that are made to be fun and enjoyed, versus it being a job that you end up earning money for. And I think that mental shift is so important to a certain degree. I think is the reason why the legend the legend of Mir is actually a game that is played by so many people. 500 million users is a feat. It is not a simple thing to do. And I bet if the game wasn't fun, chances are people wouldn't have stayed, even if it was earning them any money. So what is your take on why are we seeing that rise of many gaming studios who are in a sense were actually crypto traders that ended up going into gaming? Is it a reason to kind of gamify the trading experience and in a way bring fun towards trading? So they found themselves in the gaming scene, or are we, or is that a or a fad that will end up kind of going away after a while, and what will actually stay is just strong game IP that provides that benefit of owning tokens or owning assets in the game that then I can trade around?
Okay, that's an excellent question, and I think there are two approaches to gaming right now. There are traditional gaming companies like ourselves that have developed multiple games. We're an experienced powerhouse in game development, and then we're adding blockchain technology, and we're giving something back to the users. That's one part. That's one group of companies coming into this. Another group, as you've said, are companies that are crypto friendly. They started out with crypto, and they realized, and there's a lot of value and a lot of users from the gaming side very well, very easily embrace crypto. So they're coming in from the crypto side into the gaming side. So in that sense, I think it is two different approach. But you play games. You've mentioned something important. Where do you play games to actually make something, like earn a living? And you can, depending on the region and what type of game you play. But at the end of it, I mean, the gaming is an entertainment, a form of entertainment, and you watch, you play, you do things that are most entertaining to you. And the earnings component, I think, is something there, but it's a very, designing tokenomics for a game, for a massively multiplayer online where you've got thousands and hundreds of thousands of users doing something together. It's not just about designing good tokenomics, it's actually designing a good gameplay experience. That's you need graphics, you need storytelling, you need interactivity, you need community, society, you need to level up, and balancing all of that within a game for companies, for MMO or game development companies, has been our bread and butter. I mean, we needed to do that 20 years ago and 10 years ago, before blockchain started coming out. So I feel like we have a slight advantage from the other group coming in from crypto to games versus game to crypto. And as I said, if it's fun, people will play. And I think now, because it's sort of new, we haven't seen the play to earn, play and earn industry. It's not more than 3-4 years old. So I think there's a lot of findings and mistakes that we're making. And Wemade as a company, we've made a lot of mistakes. We've signed about 100 games. We've launched about 24 games, and 24 Web3 games we're the leader in the space right now. We have a platform that supplements developers to onboard their games on our platform. But don't get me wrong, we've made a lot of mistakes, because I mean, we're the first ones doing this. There is no right and wrong. It's just we're making mistakes by the ton, and hopefully, we are getting better incrementally. Maybe it's 0.1% every game that we launch, but we're far advanced relative. But as an industry as a whole, where we need to be, I think we're probably maybe less than 10% of where the industry could be, as tokenomics and GameFi, all of this morphs into a bigger or a different kind of experience that we have now. So that's my thought.
Definitely, and I think you brought on something interesting there. One, you were saying that, okay, this isn't necessarily about just building tokenomics. It's also about gameplay, and this is something that we kind of a discussion that we continue to have with a lot of our portfolio companies at Shift, who are kind of in that Web3 space. Especially when we're looking at talent, and where talent is mostly, where that skill set is kind of distributed, as well as the technological requirements of kind of building successful Web3 games. And I think a lot of what we look to do within the program is to kind of continue to iterate and continue to add on to some of those different skill sets and knowledge that we feel will be important even more tomorrow, as opposed to today. And I'm curious to kind of understand, maybe within the Korean landscape, what that looks like, right? When it comes to talent development, when it comes to upskilling talent that's in gaming, whether that's from the university side or the government side, what is that scene looking like today in Korea?
The funny thing is, I mean, when I started out in the industry I first started in 2000, so I've been here about for 22, 23 years. Back then, gaming was not a big industry. It was just, a couple of companies doing things. And now it is definitely an industry. But besides the growth of the gaming industry, there's been other industries in Korea, Samsung, Hyundai, LG. These companies are big global companies. And before, we used to fight with other game developers for talent. But now we're competing against these big companies, because they need engineers, they need people to work on AI, they need people to work on some of the other high-tech stuff that they're doing. So from a talent perspective, it is getting more difficult to find talented people to our industry, because there is a bigger need in other industries as well. But that being said, I mean, we are still relatively young. We're a gaming industry. So it's more comfortable, more easy. So once you're in this industry and you get accustomed to how comfortable things are, less hierarchy, less bureaucracy, you end up staying here, as has happened to me. And so I guess talent-wise, we could do better as a nation, because, Korea, we've got 53 million people. We need more engineers coming into the industry, and we're fighting for it. And that drives up I think general working conditions for everybody in Korea. So all in all, I think we're in a healthy path of getting good developers into this industry. And maybe our goal is not to have more doctors, but maybe have more engineers coming in. And maybe
Yeah.
that's a trend we'll see in the next 10, 20 years.
I think it's a problem that we're facing across the region as well, and specifically as well in the gaming sector. Jason, I want to hear from you. Obviously, you've been here, I think, now for almost 6 years or 7 years. You've got a very interesting history of you kind of serving as well on the military side and the presidential. What is it? What do they call them? Presidential.
Oh yeah, it's a
Uh,
United Arab Emirates, the presidential guard.
Guard, yes, exactly. So I'm curious to know from an exposure to the Middle Eastern presence, you've kind of have an upfront exposure to the regulatory framework that is here. Um, how do you see Wemix, right, as a platform playing around out in the Middle East? What is missing? What are some of the opportunities that companies like we are making use of, right? And if you've kind of seen that change the type of Web3 games that are coming up from the region or not?
We have incorporated the Wemade and the Wemix subsidiary in the ADGM Abu Dhabi Global Market on January, and the reason why we chose the ADGM is Abu Dhabi Global Market. They are providing the legal framework against the virtual asset the companies, but they are providing the three categories such as the exchanges, custody, and brokerage, but they are also preparing for the future the activities such as DEX or DeFi as well. So for the future that we have thought that there will be a opportunity we can apply for it, and also in terms of the investment terms, so we chose the Abu Dhabi Global Market as our the entity should become go inside, and so there are also the virtual asset regulatory authorities over UAE, and also in as a MENA area. So that there are also in the Bahrain that they also issue some the crypto license. But as of now, what we are doing is from Wemade side, we have our own DEX. There are the various types of the DEX, including the gaming, the GameFi, and also for the financial side. And in the future, so that there will be an opportunity that we can apply for one of those. And so about the Web3, from back to your question, so when I see the Web3 games over this area, it's actually as a game developer, there will be not much advantage though if we come into the UAE, but because they just started to build the gaming industry. Yes, then we have
Across the entire region, not just the UAE.
Not just the UAE, but the UAE government, not only UAE government and the Saudi government as well, they are trying to expanding the game industry by supporting the game industry, especially that they are the scaling up the esports, and also that they are trying to accept the Web3 games such as for example, one of the authority located in Dubai, called the DMCC, that they have built their game ecosystem. About the game companies that they can incorporate their business in there, not only from the esports game guild, but also the game developers, and from going inside to their ecosystem, they can expand their business from here. So what I'm seeing these days when I look into Dubai, and I meet a lot of the game companies of these days. Even after this quarter, I have 2 meetings with the game developers, and so they are not just from here. So they are coming to Dubai these days. Yeah. So, but the thing is that what the difference between them and us is that we have our own platform, which is called the Wemix Play. we can accept their games and we can provide them a software development kit, and also that we can guide them how to build the tokenomics. So I think that the number of the Web3 game developer and studios will come to Dubai to promote their business over here. So I think the Dubai or Abu Dhabi will be the like a hub for the MENA area.
I want to stay with you, Jason, for a moment there, and tap into the type of games that are being built today on blockchain. What kind of games are we doing here? Is it, are we seeing more success on the Web3 side in hyper casual genre and casual genre, or like The Legend of Mir, which is a bit more on the core, hardcore type of genre? Tell me a little bit more about even some of the companies that you're meeting here. Seems like everybody is building, kind of the mobile games that are on the casual side. But I would love to hear from you.
The Web3 game developers, who I meet over this region, they are building also strategic or the killbox game, the FPS games, before we talk about who I meet these days as a Web3 games, we should look into what kind of genre are famous over this region. So actually, the UAE, the population rate. When you look into the population ratio of the expat and the local, and the UAE is composed of the 90% of the expat. The 90% of the population is from the abroad. But in case of the Saudi area, I visited there around a month ago, and then so I met some of the game companies over there, and what they are saying is that they are very into their famous genre. The top 5 famous genre is FPS and puzzle, the casual game, and also strategy games. So that's why the companies, also the Web3 games, the Web3 game developers who I meet these days they are into over that genre. So yeah,
makes sense. While actually Saudi is still kind of on the way towards building its own crypto regulations and blockchain regulations, so there is another battle there to be kind of fought. But it seems that there is today a specific genre that works well with Web3. I'm curious to know from you, Juan, so far, what has Wemade experienced with The Legend of Mir across the region? You guys are actually, if I'm not mistaken, is there majority of the revenue is coming from outside Korea? Is that correct?
Yeah, right.
So what have you seen? What have you seen there, Juan, in terms of experience outside Korea? What countries show the most, I would say, adoption? Are the most, I would say, spenders in, or at least the wallet? What from a wallet size are the highest or the biggest?
So about the ratios, the most of the users are coming from the Southeastern Asia and the South America, and also even in the UK. When you see the Google Play rankings, so that there are in the UK the rank of the Mir game is quite high. Not only Mir 4 and the Mir M, which was launched around over 30 days ago, and so I could find there was as a role-playing genre. So in Saudi Arabia, the Mir M was ranked as a 10th or the 8th at the time, so a month ago. Yeah, but the problem is that since the Saudi Arabia, they don't use the English as a common languages, and still they are the people that speak Arabic languages as their native languages. So it may need in the future, if we publish it and develop the new types of games to aiming the Middle East area, so we should consider about the localization as well.
Yeah, and I think The interesting thing, Jason, is when you were talking about the genres that were kind of popular in Saudi, where you have majority of the population is kind of local, as opposed to, for example, in the UAE. And thinking back from where potentially these differences kind of occur, I think one thing that came to mind is really the traditional games that we typically see in the GCC, right? They are strategy kind of puzzle games, right? So you have your we call it tawla in Arabic. We have our version of dominoes as well, that you'll find people playing in majlis and kind of all of these different get-togethers, social get-togethers. So when you have a majority of a population that's kind of local and kind of used to all of these traditional strategy games, when you look at then kind of generations ahead that are kind of moving to mobile or PC or console, it's interesting to see that same transition in terms of genre is there as well. So I think that's a kind of an interesting insight there to those small nuances, right?
Yeah.
But on that note, I think content localization and being able to cater to a market is obviously more than just publishing and marketing for that region, right? A lot of these kind of small elements are things that developers, publishers, etc., need to have quite a vast knowledge and experience in. Curious to kind of know from your thoughts, how has been kind of maybe some of the thoughts or insights in terms of your plans when it comes to the Middle East, and when we talk about content localization and catering to the market, and some of your insights specifically on that.
Oh yes, about the localization, there are some the companies who do the game who do the localization for the games especially in the UAE and the Saudi areas. But the Saudi is a kind of the emerging market. As I see the Saudi, in terms of the game developing, is kind of the emerging market. So there will be it is important to collaborate and build your experience with them as well. So, but as of now, we from our games, we don't have such as the language as Arabic. So inside our games, so that will be one of the challenges that we have to go through with the localization, the service provider.
And if I may add a bit, in terms of to your question before of genres in different regions, gameplay is part of society. It's part of our social culture, and social culture is defined by how big your house is, how do you transport, do you go to school every day with your friends, and how big is your house. So a lot of those things play a factor in how gaming has evolved in different countries. For example, in Korea and a lot of Asian countries, you see the highest peak of people playing games during between 8 and 9. That's when they go to work. So they're on a subway. Everybody's playing mobile games for about 30, 40 minutes. High peaks at lunch and right before they go to bed. In the US and Japan, console is big. But in the US, console is more of you do it with your friends. You got a bigger house, bigger room, bigger TV. In Japan, houses are smaller because it is a smaller country. And so children play with their consoles basically by themselves instead of friends coming over. So the type of genres and gameplays that are popular in different regions, it is not just a gaming thing. It's not what gamers develop. It's how users interact with the game. And that is a very, very social thing. And so I think, some countries like MMORPG, some countries, users like Match 3 better. And it's not because that game is specifically tailored for that, but it just fits that social experience better. Of course, there are games like FPS games or football, soccer, or sports games, which are universal. Like you'll play basketball in the US or in other countries, but maybe you won't play basketball in a certain area. So it is gaming, and the type of gaming is very, very local and very social.
I love what you just said there. And I want to know from your perspective, looking at blockchain games and Web3 games, is this a matter of companies coming in early, those who will be able to build sustainable ecosystems around their own games, but allow others to kind of tap into, are going to end up winning at the end? Or is it a, is there another, is there a, are we seeing what, are we moving from the App Store and the Google Store towards, blockchain ecosystems in a sense, and platforms that are owned by 3, 4, or 5 companies, and kind of dominating that scene? Or is that also going to be decentralized, and the winners, aren't necessarily going to be all into a single platform? Do you also see and envision, the likes of Apple Store and Google Store today, where majority of these apps being played in, tapping into the blockchain and Web3 world? And how does this affect platforms like Wemix in a sense?
Wow, that's a lot of questions. I mean, that'll take a long answer, but let me try to section some of it off. So I think hardware providers like Google and Apple, they'll be around. I mean, the fact that they have an install base and they have payments and things that's already part of their ecosystem, I think it's they'll still be there in the long run. But the industry is changing, and I feel like there will be new venues where companies who move faster, move quicker, will be able to facilitate these emerging Web3 blockchain games. Because companies like us, we're more nimble. We're not as big as Apple or Google. But that being said, I think it's a lot of the interaction with games, as I said about social gaming, gaming being part of social. It's what kind of hardware you play. A lot of people are on mobile now, so you go to App Store and Google Play. But if you're on the PC, you go through Steam. And so I think depending on the hardware, there are favorable destination sites or portals or game platforms that you go on to. And what we're trying to do is, I've told you we've signed about 100, we've launched 20 something games. By the end of this year, I think we should have at least 150, 200 games on our platform. So, I think we're one of the first companies saying, hey, there is a need for a different kind of interaction with gamers. And so we're going to be one of the big platforms. So 3-5 years down the road, we will be another destination site for gamers coming in. But that being said, I feel like Google, Apple, and all these other companies, maybe not the next year or the next 2 years, but 20 years, like long-term wise, they will have no choice to accept blockchain or Web3 because it's technology. It's how you use that technology. And I think users will like blockchain Web3 because there's some value they get out of it. There's a different gameplay. There's a different experience that they can get out of it besides what it's currently playing. So regardless of what the platforms or other companies are doing right now, 20 years from now, blockchain Web3 will just, I don't think we'll even call it blockchain or Web3. It's just be gaming with, as we have online. Everything's online now, and that's how the future will be.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, so, I mean, a lot of what we talk about when we mention kind of play to earn or blockchain gaming is mostly about how it transforms the player's experience, right? Transforms maybe is a bit of an overstretch because, as you mentioned from your story earlier, whenever you want to kind of level up in the game, you would kind of go that extra mile to kind of pay someone, a peer-to-peer model where you end up kind of getting coins or being able to get more assets for your game. But I think from a user perspective, there's a lot of the transformation really there is quite clear. What we kind of almost always discuss or get into discussions with is what is that transformation going to look like for studios today? Right? Especially given that it takes there is a certain level of technological complexity that's there. The way that they need to think of hiring will be different, and a lot of these elements. I'm curious to kind of know what are the barriers for Web2 studios to enter the Web3 space, and what are kind of your thoughts on maybe some of these challenges or barriers?
Excellent question. I mean, there are a lot of challenges because we are in an industry that's changing. It's not, if we've been around for 50 years, we know what things will be because it's always been that way. But every quarter, every 6 months, we have new trends, we have new technology or new things happening. So a lot of the difficulty that I've talked with for Web2 developers is understanding how they can put the blockchain technology and into their game. I mean, understanding the technology is not a very big hurdle. Of course, they have to be aware of smart contracts and how that facilitates a different type of gaming, or it could like a different aspect. But understanding how Web3 or blockchain can change their game, and so it's less about understanding the tech, but understanding the tokenomics and how this technology can impact and change their game. So a lot of it is about game design, actually, instead of there's the tech part, and understanding tech will take place. And so the platform that we have, Wemix Play, there's people coming on board our platform that are not Web3 experts, and that's fine. We have SDKs and APIs. We consult them on the smart contract, and we code smart contracts for them so they can delve into this the scenario into this space better. But I think 3 years from now, most developers will be able to do all of this by themselves, and I think that's where the industry should go. We're just going to handhold them for the next couple of quarters, next couple of years, until everybody is aware. So going back, the gist of the answer is, instead of more of a tech play, long-term wise, it's understanding how you can bring tokenomics into your game design, which will make a fun experience for your gamers. And I think a lot of when NFT started happening, 2-3 years ago, that was one way. A lot of tokenomics designed that way are not sustainable because of the nature of that tokenomics. So I think we've had phases within our platform where we were talking with developers, and the tokenomics that we consulted with them were, well, okay, we'll go the NFT model, and then we've said, well, that's not sustainable. Let's go to a version 2. Now we go to a version 3. So we're on like the version 3 stage, where we found out that you can work with NFTs, you can do tokenomics, you can bring hybrid tokens into a game, you can bring tokens from another game and shift some of that users and give them an advantage into this new game. And so we found ways to cross promote different genres of game, or even the same genres of game. And as I said, we've made a lot of mistakes, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be making more mistakes. But I think these experiments allow us to actually get closer and closer to a more stable and a more balanced platform, more balanced tokenomics. So I think that's where we're going, and it'll be fun to have this conversation maybe 6 months from now, or even a year from now, and hopefully I'll be able to tell you all the mistakes that we made and some of the good decisions we've made as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think this is kind of for everybody who's listening to us or watching the show, you can learn a lot of the experience that we may have put together over the past few years on blockchain games and Web3 games, and tens of years on the game development side, through being part of, obviously, the Shift Build game tech program. We are extremely proud and humbled to have Wemade as part of the many experts and contributors to this gaming ecosystem in the Middle East. It's, I'm pretty sure that those who understand the difficulty of the region, to actually see a publicly listed Korean company coming and settling here and expanding here and having foothold here is not an easy feat. And if anything, it actually shows the leadership that Wemade has on that space, but also the type of people they work with. So really hats off to you, Juan and Jason. I think one question for everybody who's watching, we have founders and investors and ecosystem players who do watch the show, and one of the questions are, we would love to know, we're building a Web3 game. How do we be part of the Wemix platform? Maybe Jason, you can take us through that, that process of actually being part of the Wemix platform. Is there a process there to apply? You're on mute.
Sorry. So when I go around the Dubai or Abu Dhabi, or other the MENA regions, so that I meet some founders of the games, founders or investors of the game studios, and I explained about the Wemix Play and how it's the variables among this market. So, and what it has the advantages, and what kind of the tokenomics they are using from our games, and how our the representative IP game IP, the Mirror 4 and Mirror M, is going on succeed. And when they see this, and they say like they never seen such a platform from the Web3 version as a Web3 game version. So, and they are the showing their interest, and they would like to be part of the Wemix Play and to onboard their game. So, and once I discuss with them, and I share with their information with the one's team, the team led by the one, and so that we open a discussion the how we can onboard or be the partner of the Wemix Play.
Okay, excellent. So we'll definitely kind of work with you on enabling pipeline of, a pipeline of Web3 games or blockchain games that, would love to be part of the Wemix token. So we'll definitely touch base after the show. Over to you, Sally.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much, Jason and Juan, for joining us today. It's been a great discussion on kind of going all the way from history to society and user behavior. So extremely excited to kind of know a little bit more, and I think we'll definitely take you up on your offer, and we'll bring you back in 6 months to a year and learn a little bit more about some of the mistakes and wins that you guys have at Wemade. Thank you for everyone who's joined in, and stay tuned for more on GameON podcast.